Stories shape nations. They carry memory, spark imagination, and call people to act. In Abuja, those stories came alive, on screen, on stage, and in the hearts of all who gathered at the first ever African SDGs Film Festival. Its theme was as urgent as it was hopeful: inspiring sustainability through the lens. And for 2 unforgettable days, the capital became a canvas where Africa's challenges met Africa's creativity. The festival opened with words of welcome from Seyi Boroface.
This festival was born from a vision to use the power of film and storytelling to shine a light on the urgent challenges of our time, and there are lots of them, and to also showcase the creativity and resilience of Africa in addressing these challenges. For too long, the conversation about sustainability have been confined to policies, reports, and numbers. But behind every statistic is a human story. And it is those stories told through the lens of filmmakers that move hearts and inspire action. The Sustainable Development Goals give us a shared roadmap for a more just and inclusive and sustainable world. But time is not on our side. 2030 is around the corner, and we cannot afford to be passive. The festival is our way of saying the time to act is now, and the way to act is together. We're deeply grateful to our partners, sponsors, supporters who made this possible. Your commitment reminds us that when government, civil society, private sectors, communities come together, remarkable things can happen. Over the next 2 days, you will witness powerful films and stories from across the continent. Stories of courage, innovation, and transformation. I encourage us all, not just to watch, but to listen, to reflect, and to leave here today ready to play our part in advancing the SDGs in our own spheres of influence. Once again, welcome to the African SDGs Film Festival. May this gathering ignite fresh ideas, stronger collaboration, and most importantly, urgent action. Thank you very much.
When the SDGs were conceived at and around the Rio+20 summit in 2012 in Rio de Janeiro, they were thought up as a roadmap for the whole global community. Now, working towards UN-set development targets was nothing new for Africa, given its Millennium Development Goals experience, but it was for us Belgians in the global north. Conversely, setting ambitious goals for both people and planet has always been the bread and butter of the regulations of the EU and its member states, but it's something new for the global south. Subsequently, the 2030 agenda got kicked off in 2015, and it still is the global roadmap to guide us collectively to a better place. And the biggest challenge of them all nowadays, what is the state of play today when it comes to the SDGs? The Sustainable Development Goals report of 2024 shows that only 17% of all 169 SDG targets are on track. And true, inconvenient intervening factors such as a global pandemic and other trends may have distracted us as a world community away from those 17 noble goals. Now, the biggest challenge of them all is probably happening right before our eyes. Certain national governments in both East and West question the liberal international order, which gave birth to the SDGs in the first place. Some want to replace it by a global system characterized by narrowly conceived self-interest and the raw exercise of might, rather than morals, principles, or stakes in solving common problems together. Ultimately, these actors will not only harm others, but also themselves, as a few, for instance, recent heavy weather catastrophes in the southeastern United States aptly illustrated. Because global threats such as climate change or biodiversity loss will not leave you alone just because you prefer to deny or ignore the problem, or because you think you can be the free rider who gets away with letting everyone else take responsibility or make the mitigation or restoration effort.
The ambassador's message was clear. The future demands global collaboration. Nations listening to one another, learning and acting together. Then came a burst of rhythm and color. Traditional dancers filling the hall with energy, signaling that this was not just a festival of films, but of culture, identity, and pride. On screen, the issues were raw. Climate change, gender, resilience, hope. Films that asked not just, what is wrong with the world, but what can we do to change it?
I begged him, I told him that I can prove myself through hard work, but he insisted. So I threatened to report him, and he laughed in my face and he said, "Who will believe you?" I proceeded to report anyways. I reported to the dean, nothing happened. I went ahead to report to the Senate, still nothing happened. They said I didn't have any evidence. And he was right, nobody believed me. I decided that I was going to study even harder. So I would stay up all night studying, reading, but no matter what I did, this man will still fail me.
Audiences leaned in. Conversations grew louder. For filmmakers, these were not just stories. They were lifelines, testimonies, and visions of what could be. They too turned from watching to learning. In a workshop on impact storytelling, Annabelle Anyagbade showed that film has power not when it entertains, but when it moves people to act. Then came the young voices at the Voices of Tomorrow Youth Forum. Africa's youth spoke with fire, demanding a seat at the table, not tomorrow, but today.
How important is storytelling in driving impact? That's one. Then also tell us what strategies you've utilized in telling impactful stories.
I think one of the challenges we have when we want to tell stories, impactful stories, is by the time we touch the subject, whether it's gender-based violence, whether it's rape, whether it's you're talking about any aspect of the SDGs, the moment we highlight that problem, we think we have addressed the issue. No. That's why a lot of stories of change that are told don't end up getting the change. So, assuming there are filmmakers here who want to make SDG films, one of the first things you should get to understand is that your SDG film, it's not fruitful until it gets somebody to change.
Can you help me just shout, eh? All right. Can everybody shout, eh, together? Eh. Which one did you hear the loudest? So that's just it. The power of collaboration. You cannot do it alone. No matter how innovative you are, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how resilient you are, you need people. That's one of the most important things. Collaboration. And if we want to get there, and if we want to have the hope of, oh yes, we're getting there, we have to hold each other's hands.
Adding weight to their call, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Climate Technology and Operations underlined the need for policies that balance innovation with sustainability.
SDG 7 and the medium of film, as we have seen today, is a very powerful tool for engagement and climate advocacy. Bringing the awareness to people in Nigeria and also showing where we have come and what the challenges are, how we can innovate our way out of energy poverty in Nigeria is very important. And this is one of the most practical ways to do it. Climate change tends to be a bit abstract, especially from the policy side of things. But this sort of steps it down a little bit and makes it more relatable.
For the filmmakers, the journey to the festival was more than an art. It was courage, it was persistence, it was proof that creativity is one of Africa's strongest tools for change.
I was the co-director for the short film 100, which was produced by Award Films and directed by Aroum. When we set out to tell the story was just about the silent struggles that young people face, especially women. You know, the story it started with a story of death, a woman who is already swimming in debt. We also saw like some of the struggles that she was going through. She was in the market confused and she couldn't get food. We assumed she couldn't maybe get food for her kids. And we also see the story is interwoven because it tells a lot of struggles in 2 minutes. We made sure that we told that story in 2 minutes, and we had to highlight some of the struggles and some of the faces that people, especially women, face. And just bringing this story back to real life experiences. A lot of women, a lot of men, a lot of young people face similar stories. We see people who are swimming in debt. We see single mothers who cannot bear to cater for their children or already have another one on the way. So we need to tell the stories, struggles that people bottle in until it eventually kills them, struggle that people bottle in and it eventually makes them take their life or something. So, and at the end of the day, it leaves other people suffering. In the 100 short film, we see that the 2 kids that she have will eventually bear the brunt of all of the accumulated struggles. So we need to tell our stories, and linking it with the SDGs. This story touched on zero poverty, it touched on zero hunger, it touched on gender equality. In fact, it touched on so many things. And that's why as Nigerians at Africa, we need to tell our stories so that people not only see it, but people begin to take proactive steps. People know what to speak to people, when to speak to people. People know when to lend help.
Have you ever been Chinese? No. Then you are not the expert. You can go. Go.
And then the climax. A gala night filled with celebration and reflection. The evening also honored a decade of Chanjadati Limited, whose journey in recycling and sustainability stands as living proof that consistent action builds legacy. But the spotlight also turns to the storytellers who dared to dream. This was more than a festival, it was a movement. A declaration that Africa will tell its own stories, and in telling them, inspire the world to act.
The event never ends here. This is just part of the process. We had a pre-event, the event happening. Definitely there will be post-event activities, and I believe part of engaging government and policies is a major aspect of the post-event activities.
From screenings to workshops, from youth voices to the award stage, the African SDGs Film Festival showed that sustainability can be inspired through stories, through people, through the lens. And now the challenge is ours to move from real to real. Because the future we imagine is the future we create.